Joining us now is the president of Accuracy in Media, Adam Guillette. Adam, welcome to Victory News.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Adam, what's your reaction to that commercial campaign substituting the term fetus into the normal conversation about the joy of becoming pregnant and having a baby?
Yeah, it's obviously clever. You know, they say he who frames the issue wins the battle. And it's for that reason that for decades, generally speaking, leftists don't call themselves pro-abortion. They call themselves pro-choice. Who's against choice? They don't want the debate to be about babies. They want it to be about a fetus, which is a scientific term. And it's a great reminder that it is indeed a baby, just as the left changes their language quite a bit. You know, we used to hear about them saying that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. We don't see that anymore. If you want to win a leftist Democratic primary, you've got to not only be pro-choice, but pro-abortion, and it should be on demand rather than safe, legal, and rare.
You've got that right. Well, President Biden has an expressed goal to make the right to abortion and killing babies into federal law. Does that seem like the normal goal of a good Catholic, as he describes himself?
Well, you'll probably have to quote the Pope on that one. I can't speak for the Catholics. But what I would say is this is another example of, with politicians, what matters is what they do, not what they say. Joe Biden is fearful that he'll lose his progressive base when running for re-election. He knows he's not going to get a federal law about abortion passed with a Republican Congress. He couldn't even get it if the Dems still had the Congress. But he's got to speak to that base. He's got to virtue signal to them. That's everything to the progressives, right? And this is just another example of him doing exactly that.
And Adam, your organization, Accuracy in Media, recently went undercover in North Carolina to investigate what children are being taught. Here's a brief clip.
We are very careful with wording.
She's always talking about, like, if I taught in Texas, I'd be fired.
Critical race theory. Critical race theory.
North Carolina, a few hours ago, came one step closer to joining the group of states banning the teaching of critical race theory.
So, Adam, tell us what your team discovered.
Well, I've been in over 200 school districts across the country undercover with hidden cameras. And what we find again and again in red districts, in red states, public school administrators are lying to parents, deceiving parents, oftentimes breaking the law in many states in order to push the radical principles associated with critical race theory directly into the minds of young children. North Carolina was no exception. We went to rural Republican areas and found administrators who bragged to us about how instead of calling it white privilege, they called it circumstance. Instead of calling it one thing, they call it another thing. Instead of bringing in the New York Times 1619 Project, they use a classroom service called Newsella, which partners with the 1619 Project. But when your kid brings home that assignment, you're none the wiser. It is morally outrageous, and the only solution is school choice.
And Adam, you visited Capitol Hill to ask members of Congress about excessive spending. What kind of responses did you get there?
Yeah, the typical kind of responses you would expect. It's important to remember that with politicians in D.C., these are ugly actors reading lines. If they were better at reading lines, they would do it in Hollywood. Instead, they're in D.C. They provide lip service about how they want to rein in spendings. Politicians of both parties do this. Yet again and again and again, they vote for bigger and bigger spending, regardless of the letter associated with their name. These people have an addiction, and they're addicted to our money.
That is the truth. So, tell us more about Accuracy in Media and your mission.
Sure. We use hidden camera investigative journalism and cultural activism to expose bad public policy actors. It is a target-rich environment. And you can see all of our hidden camera videos about critical race theory on our website, aim.org. And I've got to tell you, the most rural Republican areas, we find administrators who are happy to lie and deceive and to trick parents in order to push radical principles that they will deny ever teaching when they actually talk to the parents.
All right, Adam, thank you for sharing your insight with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Fior.